Right now on Sports Extra, the Braves are without Ronald Acuna Jr. for the rest of the season, and you can't replace an MVP, but we're going to discuss the next best option. And after a disappointing 10-match stretch, United got a massive win this week in Miami. Can they build off that momentum? Plus, all eyes on the W. The Dream have had a great start to the year and knocked off the reigning champs this week. Who has shined for Atlanta so far this season? All that. Plus, we get you ready for the NBA Finals in a way only Sports Extra can, and the show starts right now. Yes, sir. Welcome on into Sports Extra, everybody. I'm Reggie Chatman. Thanks for staying up late with us tonight. The Braves find themselves in familiar territory, just not the kind they want to be in. So let's jump right into it and allow me to direct your attention to this. Ronald Acuna Jr. is out for the year once again with a torn ACL, this time in his left knee, not the same knee from 3 years ago. Surgery is scheduled for Tuesday, and the reigning MVP plans to be out in California for a month or so before returning back to Atlanta to get back to supporting his team. When he spoke with reporters on Thursday, Acuna said he's gotten emotional from all the support he's received from around the league.
It's incredible. The amount of support has been absolutely incredible. All that support is, it finds me crying at home by myself, and the reason that's happening is, it's because I feel like I'm the one abandoning the team. It feels like I'm the one letting everyone down, but there's nothing I can do, just continue to work hard, continue to heal. And, the last time this happened, the team won a World Series. So that's the goal right there.
That is always the goal. Not the best news to start the show, but my guests will bring the vibes up. We got John Michaels from 680 The Fan in the house and Reeves Jackson from 11Alive's digital desk. Let's keep talking to Acuna, the 2023 NL MVP. Yeah, bad loss to lose him for this year. My question to you, John, to start this off is there kind of worry of this, he might be becoming a what-if story at some point if he doesn't get back to his full form?
Yeah, Reggie, I thought about this, the time that he got hurt. You get nervous now with the second one. The first one was great. It took him a year and a half almost to get back to the form that we all were able to see, obviously winning an MVP a year ago. Now you have a freak injury where you try to slam on the brakes and go back the other way, and the knee pops. My nerve now could be, can he come back and be that same guy? Can he be a 70 stolen base guy? Will he be able to play in the outfield the same way with the same reckless abandon? And will he be able to hit? He had already had some problems this year where he didn't seem like he was at 100% anyway. So I hope it doesn't turn into what if. He's only 26 years old. I trust that he can be really good, but man, that is two devastating injuries back to back.
Yeah, back to back, both knees getting torn. I mean, it's just really, really tough stuff. Reeves, I mean, when you saw this happen and you saw his press conference earlier this week, what was kind of your reaction to how he kind of felt about this moment for him?
I thought he was a little more upbeat and positive than he may have been when it initially happened back in 2021. And he said, too, he was like, look, I know what it takes to get back to what I was in 2023. And I don't think he'll come back as sluggish as he was in 2022 because he knows what it takes to get back to that level. Now, obviously, he's still going to have to, go through the rehab. He's going to be a little slower coming back next season. But I still have faith that Ronald Acuna will return to MVP form at some point, despite 2 ACL surgeries.
I think it's interesting you bring that up because I've got the same exact impression from being in that press conference room. He seemed a little bit more upbeat than he was last time. He said last year he had gotten into kind of a depression, trying to see if he could get back. He did do it this time around. He's going to be a little bit more patient in his rehab and try and get back to full form. But thankfully for him, there's been a bunch of guys on this roster that kind of fill in. Jarred Kelenic and Adam Duvall were both brought in to share some time in left field, but they're going to now have to fill that hole in right field. Hard to replace an MVP, but how much do you think that this duo Reeves can pick up the slack?
I think that move now to go out and get Adam Duvall before the beginning of the season looks really good now.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if this is the corner outfielders that Alex Anthopoulos wants to ride into the postseason. I don't think he's going to go out and do what he did in 2021 and go get guys like Soler and Jock Peterson. Now, I do think they do need to make a move at the deadline and go get another corner outfielder. I was looking at some numbers earlier. There's not a lot of good corner outfielders in the National League. The average right now among corner outfielders in the NL, 245 with 6 homers and 24 RBIs. Kelenic and Duvall hitting 233 with 4 homers, just 13 RBIs. So that's below average and not a lot of great production in the National League from the corner outfield spot. So I think Anthopoulos will have to make some move to address that.
That's why you're shaking your head there. I mean, you have to be disappointed at that kind of production.
Those numbers are terrible, and there's so many in the lineup that are terrible. When you look at what Austin Riley's done, I know Matt Olson's gotten really hot the last couple of weeks, but the team wasn't hitting with Ronald Acuna. Now you put more pressure on a Jared Kelenic, who was really supposed to be just the 9-hole hitter, maybe hitting the 8th spot and platoon with Adam Duvall. I agree with Reeves 100%. Alex Anthopoulos will make a move. I think we know he's the best GM in town. He might be one of the best GMs in all of sports. He'll find somebody at the deadline. He's not going to overpay for him. You'll go find somebody in the American League potentially that, just isn't doing well or maybe isn't on a team that's any good. You go out and you find somebody and you replace one. Get those guys back to platooning how they should be, lefty-righty matchup, and let's roll when we get to June, July, and August.
You're talking hypotheticals right now. We're going to talk about Alex Anthopoulos in a second, so I'm going to need some names out of you. Okay. So just get yourself ready for that. But thankfully for this team, they got a couple All-Stars back when they returned from on the road after that road trip. Austin Riley, of course, back at third base. It was kind of a struggle for whoever they had playing there at that position. Mm-hmm. John, how big is it to have him? What kind of impact does he have? And like you said, he's been a little rough this year, but seems to hopefully be figuring it out.
Yeah, the biggest thing with him, it's obviously, the potential's there. At any time, he could go on one of those 10 home runs in 25-day type of streaks. We've seen him do that in the past. He's a guy that can raise the average 30 or 40 points in a month span. We also remember a year ago, Michael Harris was hitting like 180 this week, and then all of a sudden he ends up hitting, almost 400 the rest of the way. But I think the biggest thing that Austin Riley brings outside of the bat is the ability to play third base at a Gold Glove level. Now all of a sudden, when your offense is struggling and pitching has to really keep things going, you want a defensive wizard down at third base, and it's amazing what he's turned himself into in the last couple of years as a third baseman.
It really is incredible because you could almost feel a big difference just defensively. Of course, the bat is what got him out on the field initially, but that defense made a huge difference. Now, Sean Murphy's another guy that returned back to this lineup after missing so much time after getting hurt the first game of the year. Of course, they've got some backup catchers that have been good. Travis Darno has been good this year. Chadwick Trump, who they just sent back down to AAA, has been fine. But what does Sean Murphy bring that those two other guys can't?
I really think he obviously just brings an element that extends the Braves lineup. It lengthens the lineup. You had guys before like Arcia, Duvall, Kelenic hitting 5, 6, 7. Now those guys can slide back into the 7, 8, 9 spots. You slide Murphy into the middle of the lineup just after like around 5 and 6. And he hit great at AAA. I think it's going to take a little time for him to get his legs back under him. But I think that when Sean Murphy is fully clicking, he is and will be this season one of the best hitting catchers in all of baseball and a force in the middle of the Braves lineup. If they're clicking on all cylinders, a guy that will have a good season.
Well, you hope he starts clicking, and you really hope this entire offense starts clicking as well, John. Right. It feels like, you look about last year, right? That 2023 squad, it didn't matter what the lead was. You always felt this Braves team could come back. This year, it feels like if the other team gets to 3 runs, it's a real struggle. What has been the biggest problem?
Strikeouts. To me, that's the biggest thing. I know when you look statistically, they're still kind of middle of the pack in all of baseball, but this is a team that's making a lot of bad strikeouts at a lot of bad times. Ooh. Guys on base, second and third, 1 out. You can't even drive in a run. We had that the other day. Second and third, 1 out, and you struck out back to back. A lot of times with guys on third base, unproductive outs. You got to find a way to start putting the ball in play. And I've asked different baseball guys, do you change your approach? Do you choke up? I know that's a 1970s term. Do you bunt to move guys along? Kevin McAlpin will scream at me. You don't do any of those things because analytics tell you play for the 3-run home run. The problem is the Braves, they've hit a lot of really hard balls. When you look at the barrel rate and some of the other analytical terms, they're really high up with those. But unfortunately to me, it's the non-productive outs and the strikeouts have got to stop if this team's going to score some runs.
Well, I mean, if you want more runs, do you think maybe it's time to bring in something? And like I said, I gave you a second to think about it. Alex Anthopoulos. I mean, and Alex, in AA we trust. He's been so good in that role the last years. I mean, what can he do this time? Where do they need to fill in? I want a quick answer from both of you. Tommy
Pham, there's a guy I want. He's got an attitude, and he's a guy that's done some things in the past. Yeah, that's who I want on our baseball team. He'll inject some energy, and that's something this team seems like it needs right about now.
Yeah, I'll go with Tommy Pham too. I like that, but I'm going to go for the more pitching side. I think they need another starter. They've been struggling to find that 5th starter. AJ Smith-Shawver got hurt, came up, looked good. But maybe go out and get a guy like Zach Eflin. Tampa Bay is struggling right now. Okay. Eflin's a good pitcher on the market, so I think they need a 5th starter right now. But they do need someone that can bring that oomph into the clubhouse.
I mean, look, they just played the A's. It feels like they always go take people from the A's. So, right. I mean, maybe this was just a tryout for the Atlanta Braves coming up. All right, it's time for Under the Odds. Once again, this is just for entertainment, not any type of real betting advice. The Braves' number 2 prospect, Hurston Waldrop, started for the Gwinnett Stripers. Today, 6 innings, 11 strikeouts, and settled down after giving up a 2-run home run early. So for both of you guys, what are the odds we see Hurston Waldrop in the big leagues before the All-Star break, John?
Oh, I'm going to say -185. I guess that's the betting betting odds if you want to go with. He's got to come up. Reeves just talked about the need for a fifth starter. Spencer Schwellenbach pitched well the other day. You've tried Darius Vines. You've tried Bryce Elder, whatever. This kid is the real deal. Get him up here and get him up now.
Reeves, what do you think? Is he coming up?
Before the All-Star break, I'll say maybe.
Okay.
This season, absolutely. I mean, what he did in May in Mississippi, that's why he earned that call up to Gwinnett and pitched fantastic. 11 strikeouts like we talked about, but he looked great in Mississippi too. He's finding momentum, so I would not be surprised. I would love for the Braves to call him up. Will they? I don't know, but I hope they do.
Yeah, it's so much fun, man. It's good to actually have some guys in the minors you can bring up in opportunities like this. All right, Atlanta United picked up its biggest win of the year this week. Have they gotten back on track? We're talking football after the commercial break. Welcome back to Sports Extra. I'm Reggie Chatman alongside John and Reeves to talk some football. It's been no secret Atlanta United has been struggling this season. 9-match winless streak coming into Wednesday, facing an Inter Miami team with Lionel Messi, who was on a 10-match unbeaten streak. And yet, magic in Miami as Atlanta United came away with a 3-1 win. Incredible stuff there. Reeves, how big is this win for this team?
I mean, I just want to first talk about Sabalo Janite. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Those were some worldies right there, some crazy goals. Very unexpected win against Inter Miami, who leads the Supporters Shield right now. It definitely gives Atlanta United some momentum. I wouldn't necessarily say they're back.
I'm about to say, is that the question?
That might be the question. I wouldn't say so, but definitely a big win and very unexpected, especially going into Miami, too, against Messi.
Of course, they're getting a little bit healthier as well. Thiago Almada had missed some time. He's back. Yorgos Giacomakis is getting his fitness up. He's been coming off the bench. Stian Gregerson, recovering from surgery. He's back in the lineup. John, do they have the pieces to turn this thing around? They're in kind of the bottom half of the conference standings in the East.
Probably not. You would love to be able to kind of catapult after that win over Inter Miami and really get things going, but I just don't think this is a good club as currently constructed. They've been scuffling the entire time. Obviously had a long losing streak or long winless streak, so to speak. I think that win was more, hey, we played up to a level of competition. Every now and then you see somebody like Messi on the other side and you want to make a name for yourself. I just don't think this is a very good club, and unfortunately, I don't think they got enough really to get things going.
Well, unfortunately, they didn't have enough to get things going against Charlotte on Sunday as they hosted them in front of a crowd of a lot of people. They had all three levels open and couldn't get it done. They had a 1-0 lead, ended up losing 3-2. That's 6 straight losses at home. Reeves, what will it take to get a win inside the Benz?
Well, I had a friend who has season tickets for Atlanta United. He was there today, and he was shooting me texts. He was like, man, we need to get rid of Gonzalo. He's on board of getting rid of Gonzalo. But, they got it. That's where they need to win. I think John had a good point. They go into Miami against Messi, have some build-up and some inspiration to win there, but you got to win at home, especially when, like you said, Reggie, all 3 levels are open, crowd's electric, and I don't know what it's going to take, but they got to start winning.
Something's got to get done. Something has to change, and hopefully they turn around, because when Atlanta United is good, it's a really buzzing thing here in the city of Atlanta. All right, speaking of some buzz, let's talk some hoops. The NBA Finals don't start until later this week, which we will talk about in a second, but boy, has the WNBA exploded this year. The Dream doing their part, winners over the 2-time defending WNBA champion Aces on Friday. My question to you, John, is what impact could the Dream have on this city if they continue to build a fan base and continue to win some games?
I can tell you, Reggie, with the way the WNBA has grown this year, obviously with the insertion of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and all the young players, and people are paying attention. If the Dream can win, I think you build a fan base. We've seen in this city, whether it's the Georgia Swarm, whether it's Atlanta United, whether it's the Falcons going on a Super Bowl run, or the Braves winning, all people want here is for something to be behind and somebody to win. So the Dream, they've got some star power. They've got some young players there that can absolutely play. If you can build on good wins like they had over the weekend, maybe this will get the city behind it.
I'll tell you, I was at that game on Friday with the Aces in town. Electric. I mean, it is one of the smaller buildings in the WNBA, but they pack it out. Another sold-out crowd, and they do have some star power. Ryan Howard and Alicia Gray, who have been fantastic this year, both averaging more than 17 points a night. Both of them former rookies of the year, and they are both all-stars nowadays. How far, Reeves, do you think that they can lead this team?
Well, we see what they did against the Aces, beating Asia Wilson, like you said, 2-time defending WNBA champs, and they're both scoring at a high level right now. And if they can keep doing that, who knows how far they can go. Now, definitely a playoff team. Now, I don't think they can go as far as the WNBA Finals, but who knows? A semifinal appearance, definitely not out of the question with how talented they are with with those two scores at the helm.
It's interesting because we mentioned how Atlanta United had kind of played up to the incredible team that Inter Miami is. Maybe they played up because they did end up losing to the Sun earlier today. But all in all, I mean, 4-3 to start the year. You like how they're starting their season. But of course, there's a lot of talk this year around the WNBA about Caitlin Clark, who has, of course, been the headliner of this incredible rookie class that you mentioned. Now, of course, there's a lot of conversation about how they're playing her, maybe the physicality, maybe some potential hate towards her. John, do you think it's real, or do you think that's kind of being blown out of proportion this early in her career?
It's absolutely real. Reggie, we saw this during the women's tournament when you had the Connecticut players sitting on the broadcast saying she's going to get her comeuppance when she gets to the WNBA. And you're seeing it. You're seeing people miss the front end of 2 free throws and turn around playing defense on her because they're so concerned with what she's doing. You saw what happened the other day with her being called a derogatory term and then shoulder check to the ground. I think there's a level of hatred, which I understand. It's a new player coming into town that a lot of people are saying, wait a second, let her live up to the hype. There's been other great players here. But you also got to remember, this is a woman right now that's bringing you notoriety that this league hasn't had in a long time. People might want to watch what they're doing to Caitlin Clark.
I'll say this, man. It has never been a better time to be a fan of the WNBA, man. You're getting new eyes. I think it's just going to take a second for everybody to kind of calibrate about what this is all about. And, of course, not a lot of calibration needed for this upcoming finals match that comes up on Thursday. Mavericks versus Celtics. Reeves, all the star power in that one. What intrigues you the most about that in Game 1?
Well, I think it's the best team in the NBA throughout the course of the season, the Boston Celtics, going up right now against the hottest team in the NBA, and that's the Dallas Mavericks. And honestly, I really like Dallas, especially the way that Luka and Kyrie played. I mean, in crunch time down the stretch against Minnesota, they were unstoppable. And I honestly like Dallas. I think they had better wins against Oklahoma City and Minnesota and played better and looked better than Boston did against Cleveland and Indiana. So if Dallas can steal a game in Boston and they go back home, I think Dallas will have the momentum. I would not be surprised. I know Boston's they're the favorite in this series. I would not be surprised if Dallas wins.
I'll tell you this, you were a big Miami Heat fan, and of course your team plays against the Boston Celtics seems like every single day and every single playoffs. Do you think they have the ability to try and win it, or do you have the Mavericks?
I'm going to take the Mavericks as well, and I am going to go with the hot player and the best player on the floor, and that's Luka Doncic. What I'm intrigued the most with, Kristaps Porzingis coming back. He's been out for 5 weeks. This year he had his most efficient and best year as an NBA player, and he gives them something that Minnesota didn't have, even with Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert, and that's a 7'2" guy who can shoot it, who can be a mismatch on the offensive end and isn't just going to stand out on the perimeter like Kat did all the time. I'm intrigued, though, can Jason Tatum step up in crunch time? That's been the big question about him throughout his career, is the ability to step up when the game is on the line. Give me Dallas in 7. I think they win Game 7 in Boston to win the NBA championship.
That's what I want, man.
On Boston's floor in Game 7.
Kyrie on Boston's floor hitting a game winner would be awesome. By the way, we got to talk some golf before we go. Let's head up north for the final round of the RBC Canadian Open in Ontario and a tight leaderboard heading into Sunday. But Robert McIntyre held on all day long in the rain for his first career win. He finished 16 under in his 45th tour start. But what's cooler than that, and what's cooler than your first PGA Tour win, doing it with your dad as your caddy. Just some really awesome stuff all around there. Up next, the Memorial Tournament before the U.S. Open in 2 weeks. All right, coming up, who would we draft in the Atlanta starting 5 all-star team? And we're not picking players that actually play basketball. Our answers might surprise you. That's next after the break. Welcome back to Sports Extra, everybody. I'm Reggie Chatman alongside Reeve Jackson and John Michaels. All the Hoops Talk had us thinking, what would be the best starting 5 we could come up with if we couldn't pick from basketball players in the area, but they can be both professional and college athletes? We'll start with John. Who was your starting 5?
Well, my starting 5 is pretty easy. Drake London played some in college, from what I understand, at USC, 6'5". Give me Kyle Pitts. I need another big body. I'm going to take Matt Olson. Am I thinking behind that? 6'5" white guy. He could probably shoot the ball. And then I need 2 athletes to be my guards, Bijan Robinson and Michael Harris. If I had a 6th man from the media, it'll be me, because I can outshoot any of these jabronis in town.
I don't know, man. I don't know if you're outshooting me, man. I'm locking you up.
As the kids like to say.
Reeves, what do you think? Who's your starting 5?
Well, I'm going to stick with what John said and go Kyle Pitts and Drake London.
Boring.
I mean, those are 2 obvious guys. Kyle Pitts, huge, down low, he's going to get rebounds. And Drake London, like you said, played a little at USC. He can shoot. Then I'm going to go with Michael Penix Jr. at the point.
Oh.
Because he can command an offense, 4'4", 40, speed, can get up and down the floor. I like Malachi Starks, #1 athlete recruit. In 2022, played a little basketball at Jefferson High School. So Malachi Starks is going to be on the team. And then Jesse Bates, goes and plays pickup basketball in the offseason with Dee Alford and DeMarco Helms.
Oh.
And so they even ran into some of the guys of Georgia State's basketball team.
Okay.
And so Jesse Bates, who played in high school, also knows how to ball out a little bit, and that starting five is going to win.
Okay, all right. I feel you. Look, you guys are pretty basic with your answers. Of course, pick all the big guys from the Falcons and move on, all the basketball type players. Here we go. Here's a real team. Charlie Condon, Chris Sale, AJ Terrell, Saba Lochanitsi, and Raheem Morris, the head coach for your Atlanta Falcons. And for a good reason, all these. Charlie Condon is just a huge person. He's the best hitting baseball player in college right now. Chris Sale will probably fight somebody because I feel like we got to have some edge to us, which is what he kind of brings to the Braves. AJ Terrell, just really athletic. He's a better athlete than your guy, Malachi Stark, because he's in the NFL. He's a grown man. Saba, who I talked to before the season, of course, a star at Atlanta United. He's a huge basketball fan. Growing up, he used to watch games overseas in the middle of the night. He points to his wrist because he is Saba. He says it's Saba time. He stole that from Damian Lillard, and of course, Raheem Morris. He's the head coach. I just feel like he could ball for some reason. I don't know. I just look at him. He gives me that kind of confidence. All right, coming up, we wrap up with our video week featuring one of our own. You guys don't want to miss this one. It's a lot of fun. Welcome back to Sports Extra. It's our final block and it's our video of the week. And because I'm hosting, I put myself in the show today. The Atlanta United media match on Friday. I went out there and shined. I scored a goal. I made a whole bunch of saves as well. Guys, does this now prove to you that I'm an athlete and I don't just talk about sports?
You look good. I'm not going to lie, other than you've got some wrist issues that are going on.
Okay.
But you look good in some of the video that we're seeing. Right here, it's notorious he left out the other video.
Yeah, right. Where's the laser beam and the goal you didn't save?
Let me tell you something. Diego De La Torre, the assistant coach for Atlanta United, sent an absolute bomb towards me, and for that reason, I've been messing around with this wrist strap that I've had to put on. It's making my work a lot harder at work. But
you walked into work the other day. I'm like, what are you doing with that thing?
Dude, struggling is what I'm doing, man. Unbelievable.
You lose all your athletic credibility when you get hurt during a media game. I need the Hawks to bring back the media 3-on-3 tournament because myself, Brian Finneran, and Joe Hamilton, nobody in media has beaten the three of us.
Nah, I don't know. I'm grabbing Reeves. I'm grabbing our producer, Megan, and we're getting the job done.
Megan's shooting 100% from three.
Oh, man. We're listening to Taylor Swift before the game and feeling good. Thank you guys so much for coming on. And thank you guys so much for watching. That's the end of our show. Have a fantastic week. We'll see you next week on Sports Extra.